Wait, is he juiced fully? Wait a second. He is fully juiced. Wait, how much do these cost? 45 for a freaking tier 3 dude. That is just not fair for the AI. Are you tired of having your armies cost so much? Well, you're in luck today because with the auxiliary only recruit, you can do that. And you can get more than 75% off. My God, 75% off. How the hell do you get that much reduction? Let me show you. Just by choosing Rome and then the Cornelia faction, you get a 50% reduction. God, that's 50%. Well, that's gold I gotta spend on my armies. That is literally crazy. How about if we go to our general? Well, if you hire a patrician, you can get an additional 10%. And this could actually be even more depending on the traits that your patrician gets. And on top of that, just by doing research, which is under the management, you get an additional 15% off of your auxiliary units. Holy, that is an insane amount of savings. Well, we all know if it sounds too good to be true, there's always a catch. And oh boy, you are in for a treat. As you can see by this monstrosity of a list, there is a ton of units to recruit, and you can't just recruit these anywhere you want. You have to recruit them in specific provinces. For example, if you want an elephant, well, you got 3 provinces you can recruit them in. If you lose a unit, you better have that Amazon Prime subscription or else it's going to be very hard to replace them. All right, what's the auxiliary here? The elephant dude. Elephants. Load up on elephants because I'm gonna freaking need them.
Kill the cowards.
Oh my God, dude. In a more serious note, what units would you actually recruit? When you start off with Rome, you got to wait and get the auxiliary infantry, which the research for the auxiliary is actually really quick. Research. So yeah, we got to get auxiliary, which conveniently is very quick. The auxiliary infantry is a tier 2. It's dirt cheap, and it's probably the best tier 2 auto-resolve unit in Total War Rome 2, at least in my opinion. And then you go up to a tier 3, which you get the Saki. Yes, they're literally called Saki, and I've never used this unit before, so I was pretty surprised when they actually said their name in-game.
Saki extraordinary.
Saki? What? Dude, they're called a Saki? Oh, the hell does that mean? Saki? I didn't know that was a thing. The Saki is by far the best melee infantry that you will use, so you're better off sticking with this unit if you wanted to do manual battles. There, easy. I mean, too bad that could have been a fun fight, but that was just a weird fight. Saki! Saki, dude. They're called Sakis. More like Sucky, am I right? Uh-oh. That's gonna freaking hurt. What did he take? Oh, shit. This has Egyptian infantry. Prorac victory. Yeah, I thought this was gonna be a lot worse, but it turned out to be easy. Here we go. What did he take this time? He took a Saki. He took a Saki. Couple heroics, dude. Taking my army, too. Valiant defeat. Get these losers, freaking losers out of here.
Le who? The her.
All right, take 2. Dude, that was freaking... And I forgot about 4 freaking units. I forgot. They chased the... Whatever. This could have been a lot easier if I was paying attention. If you were just looking for auto-resolves only, you could literally just stick with the auxiliary infantry. The next kind of best one would be the Scutari, which is over by the Iberians. But the thing with the Scutari is that they have a lot less armor, and they only have a little bit more melee attack weapon damage than the Saki, which doesn't make them as good. If we look at the Cavalry, there's obviously a whole whack load, and the nice thing about the auxiliary cavalry is a tier 3, and they can be recruited literally anywhere. The only requirements for them is a tier 3 auxiliary camp, which is nice. So you're honestly better off sticking with these, and they're actually decent and auto-resolve as well, just like the Saki. Your range units will be a little bit more tricky because you cannot recruit them right off the bat, and just like everything, they're recruited in specific provinces, so this requires a whole new barracks in a whole new different place. However, early on, you can just use auxiliary cavalry instead of range units because the armies early on are obviously pretty weak, and if you have the Saki in your armies, well, they're actually pretty decent against everything around you. If you're curious on how I did my armies, I have the general, 2 elephants, 2 cavalry, a bunch of Saki, and 3 range units, which my armies pretty well consist of all archers, and it's not really specifically the Dacian bowmen, it's just whatever was closer. Elephants and cavalry, you can change the amount around, but I found 2 elephants is like the sweet spot, and 2 is kind of okay. You can use 3 cavalry, just kind of depends. Some factions are pretty well more range heavy over just melee infantry, but this was kind of like the sweet spot, and you can adjust from there. After all that being said, what can you take away from this video? Auxiliary units aren't really worth using unless you're trying to get a specific type of unit. For example, the elephants. Rome's regular melee infantry, like the Praetorians, they are a tier 3, and they can be reformed to the Praetorian Guard, which makes them even better. And if you didn't want to spend your gold on anything that expensive, you can even go to the Armor Legionnaires, which are like a good value unit, and they look freaking awesome. If you wanted to see unedited videos and how I did my campaign for this challenge, you can check the description. That'll show my second channel. But other than that, thanks for watching. Peace out. Holy jeez, look at these freaking chariots, dude. What the freaking hell kind of recruiting is this, dude? Holy freaking hell, dude. Look at this shit. What the dude, look at this. All right, look at this. Look, dude. She's literally going across the map. Can we lock this guy down? Should be able to.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Get to the chopper!
My skills are yours. They will never know.
Get to the chopper!
You freaking stupid! Oh, these freaking agents! Come on, one more. One more. Come on, that's 200, right? 201. 200. Look at this, dude. This is freaking crazy amount of loyalty. Look at that. 201. I bet you've never seen this before. This is my first time seeing this. I've never seen this before, ever.